Market closes in about 20 minutes here, but I want to get this out for you folks early because I won't be able to do so later. So super solid day on the overall market. You know you're looking for longs. You know we're bullish bias. So you can see, we ended up getting a bear trap, right? Squeeze under, but we reclaimed this, and then this thing moved higher. 673. We know that's our key level. That's our A plus shot that we're looking for here on SPY. Let's just zoom out here. You can see last Thursday we got that, and today. So super solid here. So for me going into tomorrow, I'm looking for the pullback long off of 673. This is my A plus shot that I'm looking for. I'm looking for this pullback long off of 673. You know I've been looking for this thing. I've been eyeing this thing, and I mean look at the market. We are trending higher. The trend is your friend. The dip is your best friend. Look at each of our key levels just being respected on the dot. I'm trying to teach you this, right? So that being said, tomorrow this is a very valid shot. I'm really looking for this. If we can get a pullback long off of 673, I'm looking for that. If we fall under 673, you know what you're looking for. You're just looking for pullback longs. That's all you're looking for. So super solid day today. We ended up trending. We ended up breaking over, the previous day high. We got above that, and this thing is making, a new high of day as we speak during power hour. So love to see that. Let's go here on the daily. Right. This is what I love to see because we've been avoiding this channel. Now, what are we doing today? We're getting a daily candle breakout. So tomorrow, I want to see a daily candle form above this channel and do that. That is solid, right? Because all this, even though we're bullish bias, is a channel. So this is our setup here. I'm looking for that 673. I love that it's a whole number as well. Remember, we just got this on last Thursday. Last Thursday. I know some people cashed out on it. We took our shot, but what do you notice every time? We push into here, right? We get wicks. We get wicks, right? Seller step in. Today, what are we noticing? We finally got a bit of a daily candle closure above here. And this is a bullish candle. I mean, look at the last 3 days. Last 3 days, just straight upside on the overall market. So coming into tomorrow, if price can stay above here, this is a solid shot off of 673. That's exactly what I'm looking for on SPY. Now, let's go here to Tesla. I'm sorry, QQQ. So solid setup here as well on the Qs. You can clearly see, I've been noticing a little bit that, there's been a lot of divergence on SPY and QQQ. I've been noticing that, at least around market open. And I mean, you can see, Qs ended up pulling all the way back down to the bottom of the range. Keep in mind, it was still an inside bar day, even though it pulled back. So that's something to keep in mind. We did open up in the middle of the range, but, it pulled back. And then, of course, this thing is moving higher. So for me, really on Qs, I'm looking for this. Remember, I took my shot last week, the 612.80, and I told you if this sets up again, I'm taking my shot again. So I will be looking for a long over the 612.80. I'll love the setup tomorrow just because we'll also be above the previous day high. That's a solid setup. As you know, you're just looking for pullback long. So if you're looking to scalp this and trade this, right, you're just looking for a break and retest over 607 or a pullback long off of 602.85. So Qs is intact. Everything's looking really good. Let's go here on the daily. One sec. Right, on the daily. Just like I broke down on the SPY, I want to see this channel turn into support. This channel turn into support. That's exactly what I'm looking for. But you can see, right, compare SPY and the Qs, there is some divergence, and SPY is definitely stronger than the Qs. But every time, we push up into, the 612.80, look at these wicks every single time, every time. So, if we can get a good displacement candle, a break and retest over 612.80, that is a solid shot. So I will be watching that going into tomorrow. But nevertheless, your bullish bias on the overall market. Tesla. So my game plan is changing here on Tesla a little bit. So today, if you were able to catch this, very solid. If you're above 410, we're bullish bias. Now, I was looking at this, but I did not take this trade. One, I mean, the price action is just crappy. You can see that. And, it was in sync with the overall market. And I'll explain this a little bit thoroughly with a better visual when I go into video. But whenever I'm looking to play a pullback long off a name, I'm only going to take that shot if there is divergence on that name or I have the overall market behind me. So today, Tesla and QQQ was just in sync. I mean, if you look at, the intraday for QQQ and Tesla, especially at market open, there's no divergence. These two names are in sync. So, Tesla pulling back is Q's pulling back. So, those are things that you got to pay attention to when you're looking to play a pullback long and you're looking at the overall market as well. Because this was the game plan today, right? As long as we're above, 410, we're bullish bias. But you can see here, I mean, this was a little tricky. You see these wicks, that means price did push up. So, we pulled back to our 410 on the dot this morning, and twice, buyer stepped up and tried to push this thing higher. And then you see we actually, we ended up falling under, but then we reclaimed with a lot of momentum, and then we fell all the way back under again, and then we reclaim again, and then we fall back. So it was a tough morning, right? Your thesis is probably right, or your thesis is correct, but if you weren't able to catch this, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. It was a tough morning. So I didn't take this shot to the upside, and I'll show you here how exactly, I typically look at taking trades. I told you either my stop loss is going to be somewhere where it's a break of structure, or depending on how big the candle is, I'm going to mark out the candle that broke my key level. So something like this, right? I just want to look for structure. Something like this looks pretty solid to me. Risking that. So, you get the break, you get the retest, this thing shoots up. We ended up pulling back, but you get a candle closure under your stop loss. This wick shows that at one point this was a full bearish candle, and then you get that rip to the upside. So it was a tough morning price action wise. It wasn't the best price action, but our thesis was correct. We knew we were looking for a pullback long off of 410. Now that the intraday breakdown is over, the reason I say that my game plan is changing a little bit here. So yesterday, you heard me thoroughly break down saying every single time we push into this 419.10, we can't hold above it. Out of pretty much 2 trading weeks, we've had 4 times now that we've pushed up all the way up into 419, but we cannot hold above it. We can't get a daily candle above it. So now, I'm not as intrigued into taking a pullback long off of 410, because then that'd just be 3 days of an inside bar day. That's the one thing, I always tell you, and what I look for right away as soon as I open my charts, is it an inside bar day, right? That's something that helps me kind of navigate. All right, maybe I'll take this play, maybe I won't. So, we open up dead smack in the middle of the range. This is the previous day low. This is the previous day high. So we open up dead smack in the middle of the range. So the price action being the way that it was, when you zoom out and you look at, okay, well, we're just dead smack in the range, that really shouldn't be a surprise. You know what I mean? So tomorrow, I'm mainly just looking for this. You can look for this, but a pullback long off this 410 for me is just no longer a higher probability setup. We're bullish bias over 410. We've seen every single time we broke above it, right? We get a retest, we go higher. So we know this is a key level here. But, this is starting to be the built up key level here, built up liquidity. And I'm noticing on the daily, we cannot get a candle closure above that. So for me, coming into tomorrow, my only trade that I'm really looking for here on Tesla is a break and retest over 419. This thing is setting up. This thing is setting up. We see every time, right? Today on the dot, we push up, we reject. Today, we didn't even go as high. This is the previous day high, so we didn't even take out the previous day high's liquidity. So, we're still in here, right? Even though we're bullish bias. So tomorrow, I say, this should be your key level here to watch. Our break and retest over this is a solid setup. It's setting up. We're flirting with this level. We're definitely flirting with it. So 419.10, that's your key level going into tomorrow. Like I said, you can look for a pullback long off of 410. That is very valid. It's valid. But for me, the higher probability shot is over 419. So NVIDIA, this one's very interesting. So I've really been trying to teach you guys the difference between skipping a trade and missing a trade. And context matters. So remember, skipping a trade means that you don't believe it's worth the risk. Now, we knew 173.15 was our key level here to watch. We knew that. That was our key level. I said we're looking for a pullback long, or if we fall into this, you can look to short it. On the dot, you got a beautiful break, all this displacement, right? Break, good retest, and we just straight down into the lower day. If you caught that, kudos to you. Now, I saw this set up, but the reason I did not take this play is because I'm not spotting any divergence with NVIDIA and QQQ. So during this time, Qs is having a V-shaped recovery. So if I see the overall market and SPY rallying to the upside, having a V-shaped recovery, I know the market is bullish. It's very hard for me to go long, right? When I see Qs and SPY recovering and rallying to the upside. I don't like the context here. Context matters. So I actually ended up skipping this trade, even though, it would have paid you very well and very quick, actually. I mean, this is just straight down through the lower day. We actually ended up pushing to 169.55. Now that price action has developed. Oh, and one thing that I do want to hit on. So I did have someone send me a screenshot of this trade. And they said, hey, Kel, I took the pullback long off for 173.15. I got stopped out. What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. The probability just went in your favor during that time. So one thing that I've learned is, and you got to ask yourself, if you ever take a trade and you are upset that that trade didn't work, you are thinking in certainties and not probabilities. That's a fact. If you're upset that your trade did not work, that is because you expected it to work. You're not thinking in probabilities. So the overall market was just pulling back. It was a very heavy Qs, and SPY has divergence at market open. I'm noticing that pattern. So this stop out, right? I mean, this is your shot. You're risking, you're risking this much, right, to make this much. Actually, this much. You see what I mean? That's a high RR trade. That's a high probability shot. As long as we're above 173.15, we're bullish bias. So, to that person, who took that loss, that's a good loss. You got to know the difference. That's a good loss. Now, I hope this makes sense on why I skipped this trade, because one, like I said, I didn't spot any divergence on this name, and Qs and SPY was doing a V-shaped recovery, and this thing rallied to the upside. So I skipped the trade. Now, you can clearly see it was really just a morning squeeze. You got the break and retest. You got the break, retest. Hey, you got a nice payday. But you can clearly see after we reclaim, it was just a morning squeeze. This thing is still bullish because why? We're over 173.15. Wanted to break that down on the video. Now, I'm still hands off on this name until we get over 184.50. And at this point, it should be very obvious why. I mean, we see here, right? There's a lot of built up liquidity here. It's been a while since we've been over 184.15. I'm sorry, 184.50. And this is a weekly level. So once again, our 173, it did its job. We pulled back. We ended up holding. You can see we had a morning squeeze, but this thing reclaimed very fast, right? So tomorrow, if it sets up, we'll see how strong NVIDIA can be. I'm looking for a break and retest over 184.50. Why? Because remember, on the daily, this is a channel. So it's the same game plan as it was coming into today. You can look for a pullback long off of this. Why? Because the dip is your best friend, or a break and retest over 184. Now, it's valid if you want to take a shot over 179.45. It's a high probability shot. We're bullish buyers. You're trading with the overall trend, and you'll be over the previous day high. That's a solid shot. But I don't like that we've been sitting in here. I don't want to be anywhere in between 179 and 184.50. You can see we've just been stuck in here. I want to get outside of this range, outside of this channel. That is a higher probability shot. So let's go here on the daily, just so I can give you a better visual. Broke this down yesterday. Same game plan going into tomorrow. See this? I don't want that. All this is a channel. Even though, we're bullish bias, there's no continuation here. All this is a channel. I don't want that. I want this. The same thing that we're literally seeing on SPY right now, that break over, 673. This is the same thing that's setting up on the Qs and on NVIDIA. See that? That's what I want. I want to be outside of this channel, break and retest over 184.50, and target the top of these ranges. We're very bullish bias on this name. You can see morning squeeze here, wicks to the damage, body tells the story. Every time we pull back into this 173, look left. Buyers should step up very aggressively. So I'm bullish bias on this name, but I don't want to take anything unless we get over 184.50. Apple played out beautifully. I'm going to show you here. So I said this yesterday. If you watched the live trading session, Apple is so strong right now that this is the only name that you can go long, and you don't even need to look at the overall market. So what do you notice here? I pointed this out yesterday during the live trading session. What do you notice here for the first 15 minutes of every candle on Apple? We just ripped to the upside at open. Every 15 minute. Look at that. Every 15-minute candle. Just straight upside. This thing explodes at open. Now, what was the game plan coming into today? That I said this thing is setting up. It may not happen tomorrow, but it's setting up. I want to see this range turn into support. Now, how did I draw that out? Let's go to the daily. I want to see a daily candle form, right? I definitely would have preferred, the candle to close higher up there, but I want to see a daily candle form above our 275.90 and then get this retest. Why? Because I want to see this channel turn into support. Now, I know I've said it before and I'll keep saying it. Apple really just looks the cleanest on a technical analysis standpoint on the higher time frame, right? We trend higher, consolidation, next leg higher, consolidation, next leg higher. So this thing is still making all-time highs. Today we just made another all-time high, 280.38, super solid. So we know we're bullish bias on this name. Tomorrow you're just looking for a pullback long off of 275.90. If we fall under this, I'm pretty much hands off. You got to read the price action. You can definitely look for a long off of 271.40, right? You're still buying the dip. The trend is your friend. But I would prefer, just to break and retest over 275.90, targeting the top of this range, just because we're outside of this channel. Just because. So I hope, we can open up above this and get the dip instead of opening under this and then getting the break and retest. I really hope that makes sense. But the good thing about how this is closing today is we're definitely going to have unmitigated liquidity during pre-market. We definitely are. Can't predict that. Hey, it may gap up, but I think the chances are, this previous day high, which is now the all-time high, is not going to get swept during the pre-market. So we can actually, expect price to gravitate higher towards that unmitigated liquidity. So AMD, a lot of morning squeezes today. I'll go here actually on the intraday. So this set out perfectly. I mean, look at this V-shaped recovery on AMD. This was the game plan. As you know, I'm a risk manager before I'm a trader. This is way too aggressive for me. We were looking for the pop and fade off of 203. Sets up on the dot right at open, but this is way too aggressive. That's literally the first 2-minute candle. This happened within a couple of seconds of open, and then we got the downside. That's exactly what we were looking for. It just didn't set up how we wanted it. But this played out on the dot. I said, you can look for a pop and fade off that and target this unmitigated liquidity. There's no coincidence that we pulled all the way back, right, to this level, and then buyer stepped up and pushed this thing higher. That's super solid. I mean, crazy V-shaped recovery here on AMD. Crazy V-shaped recovery. We're actually just making a high day as we speak. So what am I looking for tomorrow on AMD? Now, actually, let me zoom out here on the 30-minute just to give you a better visual of what I'm looking at here. Okay, so I'm open to a break and retest over our 209.25 just because it's a big RR trade. I like it. It's a high RR trade. Not only that, we'll be over the previous day high, so it means price is likely to continue higher, right? We can clearly see that this is a key level being respected. So I know this is a key level. I'm comfortable putting on risk, right, off my key level here, 209.25, targeting top of this range. All we got to do is just look at what happened Monday. We ended up getting a break and retest. It looks better on the 15-minute. We got a break and retest on the intraday, 209.25, and it pushed to the top of this range. So I'm very comfortable taking this shot. Now, if you want, you can ignore that and wait for this. I've already explained this. This is a bigger RR trade because there's nothing in its way. A lot of thin volume in here. You can take your shot there. So as long as we are in between 225 and 203, I'm neutral on AMD. I'm not bearish biased. I'm not bullish biased. If we fall under 203 tomorrow, I'm definitely looking for that. Targeting bottom of this range. I'm bearish biased under 203. There's a big gap still. There's a very big gap under 203. And of course, if we're over 225, I'm bullish biased on AMD. So just play off your key levels here. Read the price action. This is solid to me only because we'll be over the previous day high. That's the only reason why I really like this long over 209.25. This is a big RR trade as well. So if you want to be patient and just wait for all this in volume to get filled, that's a super solid setup. So hope all this made sense. Hope you guys had a good day. Appreciate the love, support. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let's keep this thing